start to do this, this is a property that I did in 1992. Now, I usually don't like to talk about stuff that's this old, but the reason that I'm going to spend a few minutes on it here today is because we did this in 1992, and we ended up dealing with, it wasn't the Resolution Trust Corporation. You don't have the slide. I'm sorry, I plugged it in. We didn't deal with the Resolution Trust Company. It was actually being foreclosed by the FDIC. But it was at the same time when the savings and loan bailout was happening here. This property is called Treasure Island Club. It's out in Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral. And I found this. Now, Gary talked about the hidden market yesterday. I'm a beach person. I was living in Orlando at the time, but we went out to the beach. And when I go out to the beach, what do you think I do part of the time? I drive around and look at real estate. And I was driving around, and I drove past this. Now, it's hard to see. Well, you can see the gates. There's gates here. When I drove past this property, this gate, the gate on the entrance side, was lying on the ground, and it was very flat. Because people had been driving over it. Nobody ever bothered to move it. The gate on this side was leaning against the wall over here. It had come off. The buildings were not white. They were white with mold all over the sides. All of this foliage here was so overgrown you could hardly see the buildings. What was my immediate thought? Goody! Okay, because I've been dealing in foreclosures for years, and this was kind of my first commercial deal. But when you deal in foreclosures, you get used to driving around looking for ugly property. Well, this was an ugly condo project. Okay, how do you find out? How do you get information about something like this? You can do it one of several ways. You can go to the property appraisers, you can go to the county offices and find out who the owner is and try and contact them that way. I did it a different way. Somebody was walking out of the building and I went, "Excuse me, what's going on?" And they said, and here was the story. This building was in default 3 years. And the bank had not taken it back yet. Why? The bank didn't want it. Okay? It was 3 years in default. There was a lawsuit while it was being, the FDIC was suing for foreclosure at that point in time, but they hadn't taken it back. They weren't in a hurry to do it. And it was owned by two guys out of Miami who were in a lawsuit against each other. Anytime deals go bad, that's the kind of stuff that usually happens. Okay, so I called them up on the phone. I found out who it was. The person that I talked to told me how to get hold of the homeowners association manager, president of the homeowners association, and I went to them and I talked with them, and they gave me the phone numbers because they know everything that's going on, don't they? Well, they gave me the phone numbers of all the owners, and I called them up and said, "Would you like to sell the property?" Now, it's a 110-unit project, and 30 or 114-unit project. 30 had been sold, so there was 84 left. You guys probably know it, Treasure Island. Yeah, yeah. So there was 84 of them left. Now the buildings that you just saw, that was the front of them. This is the back of them. This is the Indian River here. Indian River or Banana River? Banana River. The Banana River, and the Banana River at this point is about a mile wide. So you've got a beautiful view, and the sun sets. This faces west, so the sun sets over them. You've got a beautiful view of the sunset. And there's a canal that goes all along the buildings, and there's 32 docks. So you can have a boat at the property. Is that cool? We contracted to buy all 84 for $34,000 a piece. Now, this was back then. I didn't have enough money to do the deal myself. But I was too stupid to know any better. So I got the property under contract anyhow, and then I found, I had a friend in Canada who wanted a partnership with me, and he sold the units for $82,000 a piece to Canadian investors. Do the math. Now, it doesn't work out quite as good as it sounds, because there was $334,000 in back taxes, there was $227,000 in past due homeowners fees, and there was a lawsuit by the Homeowners Association against the developer to paint the buildings and clean the place up. We had to pay all that to do the deal. But still, it was not a bad deal when all was said and done. Now, I'm showing you this. This is an old deal, 1992. I'm showing it to you not because I'm saying, hey, look at me. I'm showing it to you because these are the kinds of things that if this is what you want to do, you will start finding this kind of stuff in the not-too-distant future, because these types of projects are right now in receivership, and they're going to end up back in the hands of the bank. Now, it never went to the bank because we made a contract with the guys who were being foreclosed on, and because they didn't care, they were going to lose it anyhow. But it was dealing. It took a year. Close.